right, welcome everybody to the Blowing Rock Draft House for today's version of Bears Talk Live, sponsored by Jay Brown Realtors. We appreciate their support. All right, we've got Coach Kevin Paterson up here. Coach, welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Hey, yeah, you're welcome. So, you've seen me running around campus a few times at this point.
I sure have.
Who do you think is faster, All-American PJ Lotharp or me?
It's close, but I think PJ can outlean you.
Okay.
You know, he's just got a little bit more experience finishing races. So I think just that experience, he's a fifth year. I think he's get you. Yeah.
We should set that up.
Let's do it.
Okay. All right, we'll do that.
Yeah.
You heard it. We're going to set that up. So, Coach, in personal news, you've recently had your second child, Colton.
Yes.
How's he doing?
He's doing
and
great.
Welcome. Yeah.
He's huge, so he's already verbally committed to play offensive line for
Awesome.
LR.
Awesome.
Yeah, just huge. 9 pounds, 13 ounces, 21.5 inches. And he just keeps on growing. The kid is in 6-month clothes already.
That's
awesome. It's just insane. So.
And he's 2 months old, correct?
Yeah, he'll be 2 months Saturday.
Awesome.
So.
Well, congratulations,
Thank
Coach.
you so much.
Always good to add new people to the Bear family. So for people that don't know, it is fascinating to be at the finish line of both a cross-country and a track and field meet. I hadn't really gotten to experience that before I came to Lenoir-Rhyne, but being at the finish line for both of those events, I mean, just the pure physical and mental exhaustion plus the emotions, I mean, I don't think people understand what these athletes pour into what they do and how exhausted they are at the end of a race. So could you kind of talk about that and how you've seen that in your experience as a coach?
Yeah, so it's just amazing to be there because you see athletes that, on the women's side fight for 6 kilometers, men's side 8 kilometers, and a lot of times a race will come down to the last 10 meters. Mm-hmm. So it's just that mental toughness, and then once you finish is just that kind of resolve with everything that's, all 8,000 meters, all, 400 meters, and all of those things. It just relieves you from your body. So it's a lot of fun. If you're watching the finish line, LR, we teach our athletes to run through the line and go after those places and things like that. But it's the best place to be. Yeah,
for those of you that haven't experienced that, make sure when things allow that you come to a cross country or a track and field meet. The finish line is the best place to be. It's very fascinating to watch these athletes run through the finish line and see just the exhaustion and also the emotions that are on their faces and on their bodies. So if you haven't seen that, come out and check that out. So, Coach, you guys, excitingly enough, were the first people to restart athletic competitions officially for Lenoir-Rhyne. Talk about the meet last week, how that was, how nice it was to be back out competing against other teams, and kind of what you saw from our team.
It was great. It came together really, really quickly. So literally we told our group on Monday that, hey, we're racing Saturday. And then we had our best workout of the season, So I think it says a lot about our team that, everything was up in the air. And when they got the opportunity, they really took it. The ladies ran phenomenal. We had a couple guys run really, really well. On the ladies' side, I think we had 5 PRs, lifetime PRs. Which you don't see coming out of your first race.
Wow.
And it was our second fastest 5K time as a program in program history.
Wow.
So that just says a lot about our team. They were ready for the opportunity. It was great to represent, Lenoir-Rhyne for, being the first group out there. It was a bit emotional as well.
Sure.
With me as a coach, it's long seasons. So, we start cross country in August, and then, it goes right into track and field, and we're ending track and field, hopefully at the national championships at the end of May. So there's not a lot of break for me, and that's kind of how I like it. I'm kind of a busybody, but for having that layoff and then, to make that trip to campus, first thing in the morning, and then getting there and seeing a bus, it just brought back a lot of memories and everything like that. And when we got on the bus, my message for the team was, let's not take this for granted. This is an opportunity that we thought we were going to have last spring, and then it was kind of cut short. So we're on the bus. Mm-hmm. We're traveling to the meet. Let's make the very best of it.
Yeah, that's fantastic. And I think maybe a lot of people don't know that or take for granted that your program really is year-round. So you're starting in August, like you said, with cross-country, and that travels over to winter where you got track and field, which goes all the way through May. So you guys are really nonstop throughout the year. With that being said, how tricky as a coach, and then also for the team aspect as well, was the whole COVID-19 pandemic, and how has that affected you guys with recruiting and kind of with the track and field season be cut short, and then obviously cross country being affected this fall? I mean, it's really affected both areas of your program. So kind of talk about that for a second.
Yeah, the biggest thing was, last year was my first year here at Lenoir-Rhyne. So we were really, as a team, getting to know each other through indoors. We didn't quite have the indoor championship that we were looking for, but really those workouts going into outdoors were phenomenal. I really felt like we were coming together as a group. So to have those months taken away from us was difficult. It was difficult for all of us. We challenged our athletes to come back ready and come back hungry. I had to tell two groups that, hey, your season is canceled, and that's always difficult. But the mental aspect of all of those things, our kids worked their butt off, and really with all of this, with established a tradition here of championships, and we're getting after it every single day at practice.
That's awesome. For our audience that might not necessarily get the same exposure to cross country and track and field that they do for football and basketball and some of the staples at Lenoir-Rhyne, kind of give everybody the message of kind of what your team culture is and what people can expect to see if they do come to a cross country or track and field meet.
Yeah, so what we're really talking about this year is starting a tradition. So for our big tagline, it's tradition starts here. It's really building the foundation of a program and really putting a position where with our athletes they come in and there's kind of a set values in place. We work hard, we grind it out, and we're a big family. For me, that's the most important thing.
Yep.
Selfishly, I bring my wife around, my children around. They help me raise my children.
Right.
Piper and Colton get to be around 100 athletes that are goal-driven and are making these sacrifices. It's as a father, it's really awesome to see, and being a part is really, really something special.
That's awesome, Coach. So time for our Cars Plus Lenore question of the day, sponsored by Cars Plus, obviously. So what's the longest road trip that you've ever taken, and where was it?
Okay, so when I was out in Oklahoma, we took a trip from Muskogee, Oklahoma to Ames, Iowa.
That sounds exciting.
It was
like a very
really
exciting.
Bacone had these old buses that we owned. So it was like a 1983. The bus was older than I was. We went from Oklahoma, where it was hot, to Ames, Iowa, where there was snow on the ground. On the way back, the heat stopped working. We were like a half hour from campus. Our bus driver's hours were hit that day, so we literally had to pull off at a bus stop a half hour away from campus for him to get his 4 hours. It was the longest trip ever.
That's crazy.
I never want to do it again.
No. So follow-up question. It's not scripted, but it's just something I'm curious about because I enjoy them. Are you someone that likes being in the car for long periods of time on road trips, or are you someone that just kind of despises those 6, 7, 8 hour drives?
If I'm by myself and I could rock out to music and things like that, I love it.
Me too.
I'm about 6'2", so me and
I'm 6'2" and a half.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
I knew you were a little bit taller than me. Me and buses don't get along, so I'm tossing around. I can't get any sleep, so it's not that much fun.
I hear you. Well, let's hear it for Coach Paterson, head cross country and track and field coach. Thank you, Coach.
Thanks.
Appreciate it. And now we're going to head to a quick commercial break and bring back Gary Higgins from women's soccer.
What does unlimited mean to you? At Carolina West Wireless, it means unlimited media, unlimited fun, and unlimited access to our nationwide high-speed network. Sign up today for an unlimited data plan and pay just $35 per month per line for 4 lines, and we'll include hotspot and big-time savings on a new smartphone. Take $350 off the revolutionary new Samsung Galaxy S20 and get more out of your unlimited. Expect more, get more. Only from Carolina West Wireless.
And welcome back to Blowing Rock Draft House for our second guest of today's show, presented by Jay Brown Realtors. Coach Gary Higgins, how you doing?
Doing well, thanks. How are you?
Awesome. Leader of the women's soccer program. So, Coach, first question I got for you, how does it feel to be the third best golfer in the LR Athletic Department behind Elliot Gailey and then myself?
It's an absolute honor and privilege.
Yeah, so you got nothing else there. You don't want to tell everybody that you're better than me.
No, I'll keep quiet.
You let your game do the talking.
There we go.
That's what I like about you. So obviously, Coach, you guys had an incredible 2019 season. You guys were ranked in the top 10 for most of the year, and you guys won the SAC championship. Obviously, you know, the NCAA tournament probably wanted to go a little bit farther than we did, but overall it was an unbelievable season. Kind of talk about the success from last year and kind of why you think it all came together for the girls last year.
Yeah, it was a special season last year. We went to Barcelona in pre-season, which really helped our team chemistry because we had quite a few newcomers, quite a few young players coming in and a few transfers. So that was a really important trip for us to start gelling as a unit, and that was extra games and practices that the other teams or competition didn't have. So that was a great start, and then we kind of just hit the ground running as soon as we got to pre-season, and the season started. We got off to a hell of a start, 9-0, best in history. So that really helped things, and we played some tough competition. So we faced some adversity those first few games, and they got through it. And I think it was a perfect storm. We had some talented freshmen, but we had a really good group of senior leadership, which you've been involved in college athletics long enough to know that that's so important and so valuable. And it really drives your program forward. And that's something that's taken 3 years to build, you know. So, it kind of just the perfect storm came together. Yeah,
so Coach, building on that, you did mention that we had some incredible senior leadership and a lot of talent in those seniors as well. How tough is it going to be to replace those seniors, and kind of what have you seen so far during the fall practice and workout period of time that gives you hope that we'll be able to kind of move on past them and kind of build for the spring season?
Yeah, it's the nature of college athletics. It's people come and go, but I believe we've got talent, the same amount of talent, if not a little bit more this year. But now it's just time for some other people to step up and take that leadership role, and that's really difficult. That's something that you have to practice on a daily basis. And if you've maybe not been a leader in the past, it's something that you have to be very conscious about and really try hard every single day. There's some confrontation sometimes you have to deal with, but we've got some people stepping up to the plate. This has been a good few months to kind of practice some of that, and we're starting to see some people step up into those roles. So hopefully they're ready to go by February.
Yeah, definitely. And so I think you guys finally have the schedule completely finalized recently. Talk a little bit about what your schedule will look like timing-wise in terms of conference and non-conference leading into the spring. And kind of what are your expectations for this season?
Yeah, so thankfully we're going to get to play some in the spring. It's a shortened season. We're going to be split into 3 pods. So we are in a pod with Coker, Catawba and Wingate, and we play them home and away. And we're very excited for that. And then we get to play a conference tournament. So the plan is to have the same conference tournament as usual. So number 1 seed would play number 8 and so on. So at least 2 teams from each pod would go through, and then the 2 best third place finishes would also join that group of 8. So we're very excited to get going again. Coach Paterson mentioned how excited he was when he saw the bus on campus. I remember driving up to the parking lot that day and seeing that bus, and I was like, oh, someone's traveling to go and compete. So that means we're getting closer and closer, and I'll tell you what, the girls are like caged animals. They're just ready to go. They're kind of sick of playing one another in practice, and they're ready to get after it.
And the season will start for you guys in February, is that correct?
Yes, February 18th. We play really good team, LMU, actually a conference opponent, but they're not in our pod. But they're going to come to us, and we're going to do a double header with the guys team, and then we also play Tusculum at home out with that pod.
So obviously you've had a very successful run here as coach. You might not know this, but you're 9 wins shy of becoming the all-time winningest women's soccer coach in Lenoir-Rhyne history. Can you promise everybody you'll get that this year, or will you blow it?
We're going to try our best. That's always the goal, to try our best and get as many wins on the board as possible, so I can assure you of that.
I like it. That's a good answer. Very political answer of you, Coach. So you've had some amazing players go professional recently. You know, AXA, Abby, Judith. What does that do for your program, and how proud does that make you to see them taking their careers into the professional ranks?
Oh, immensely proud. It's all down to them and the hard work that they've given us over the past few years, and they deserve their opportunity. So I think the women's game's growing all over the world, and there's a lot more opportunity to play at that level now. So, but it's still very difficult to do. So they've done an amazing job, and we wish them all the best. And they keep up with LR women's soccer, and they're always asking how things are going. So hopefully we can have them come back and visit, and we can keep up with their success stories.
Yeah, fantastic people too. Does that help you in recruiting to be able to have that pedigree of, hey, we've been able to send players to the pros and continue them playing after they leave Lenoir-Rhyne?
Yeah, 100%. A lot of the players that we want, that we recruit, want to continue playing soccer in some capacity, and if they can do that for a few years on a professional level. So when they see that players are coming here and doing that, then it's definitely attractive to them.
I figure that's awesome, Coach. And then for you, Cars Plus sponsored question, same one I gave Coach Paterson. What's the longest road trip that you've ever taken, and where was it?
Longest road trip?
Yep.
So we used to be in the West Virginia region. Are you talking about as a coach or a player?
Either one. Whatever the longest one you've ever, longest time period you've ever been in a car or bus.
When I played, we played in the West Virginia region, so we drove up to Wheeling, West Virginia, and that was about 9.5, 10 hours. Not much up there, but we used to enjoy. Again, it's great for team bonding. You go in the bus for long periods of time, and it's usually fun trips, and not as fun if you don't get a result. So that's always part of the team talk is let's
it's
go
a
out
tough trip back.
Yeah, let's go out and get a good result so we can enjoy this 9.5 hour bus trip. But those are some great memories of maybe having a little bit of karaoke in the bus and things like that. So those are some great memories that we have.
Awesome. And on a personal note, do you enjoy yourself taking a car ride by yourself for a few hours and just kind of being able to unwind, or are you someone just can't stand being in a car for a long period?
Yeah, I don't mind it. It's part of the job. You have to go out recruiting. So you can make some phone calls, listen to some music, listen to some podcasts. So I enjoy it.
I like it. Let's hear it for head women's soccer coach Gary Higgins. Thanks for joining us, Coach.
Paramount Kia in Hickory. We want to see you driving a new Kia or, hey, a quality pre-owned Kia. We've got a huge selection of new and pre-owned Kias. You got to get to Paramount Kia in Hickory, Highway 70, ParamountKia.com.
All right, we're back for our final guest of the day, head men's soccer coach, Jack Winter. Jack, thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
Awesome. We're going to get you started with some fun ones here. Who's better at soccer, you or Gary?
Gary knows the answer to this.
Oh, I love it. That would be Coach Winter is better at soccer. That's great. I like it. Coach, you got any rebuttal back there? No, he's staying silent. I like it. All right, we'll move on to question number 2. Coach Winter, is your favorite season winter?
Is this going to be the rest of the interview?
No. We're getting into soccer right after this. I promise.
Yeah. No, contrary to popular belief, winter isn't my favorite season.
That's cool. I just had to ask.
I know you did.
All right, so you, Coach, are a part of a very important initiative on campus, the Diversity and Inclusion Committee that we've started here. How important do you think that is, and how close does that hit to home for you in terms of being important with all the international folks that you guys have on your team?
Yeah, I was honored to be accepted into that role this year. I think it's obviously such an important issue going on in the current climate. This year's been difficult for many, many people, and I'm very thankful to be part of that group. And I think my voice is able to represent the international demographic of our campus, so at least we have a different perspective. And I think having that panel with different perspectives is obviously important. So,
definitely.
Yeah, very grateful.
Awesome. I agree, Coach, and thank you for your service on that project, too. It's very meaningful to us. So last year you guys had a very up-and-down season. You guys beat 2 top 10 teams, and then, you had some trip-ups in conference play, but obviously, you had a relatively new team. So what did you guys take away from last year? What was kind of your message to the team as the season was going along in terms of building and finishing strong, but then also preparing for this year?
Yeah, I mean, I think Gary touched on it. The nature of college athletics means that the turnover often gives you new players, new teams with very little experience. And that 2018 team that we had was just remarkable. So, coming in with a completely different team was always going to be a challenge. We weren't short of talent, but as you saw from the results, we were able to beat some of the best teams in the country and then slip up to some of the more mediocre ones.
Right.
So that consistency is really important. I think this year we did a good job of filling the holes which we needed to. And, I trust the boys that we have in our team.
Awesome.
They're all good enough players. So the message this year was much of the same. We'll continue to do the same things. They've learned the lessons that the ruthless sport of football often hands out. And I think we're going to be a lot better this year.
Right, and we're in a very tough conference in a very tough region. And obviously, that 2018 SAC championship was huge for us. And then you just talked about after last season filling some of the gaps and being excited about some of the guys you've got coming in. Do you want to talk about some of those newcomers and how they're gelling so far with some of the returners so far?
Yeah, one of the things that we lacked a lot last year was maturity and experience. So we tried to fill those gaps with some more mature graduate students, transfers, just to give our team a bit more of a balance. So that's been exciting. We've got a couple of really strong defenders, and we also needed some more attacking firepower. So we've got a bit of depth and quality in that area now. And that adds to, some of our superstar players that we couldn't be more appreciative to have in the squad as well. So the likes of Victor and Carles have just been remarkable. In my opinion, two of the best players in the country.
Sure.
So we have a very strong team this year.
Awesome. And just like women's soccer, you guys' schedule is pretty much set for the spring. Talk a little bit about that, and then kind of what are you and the team's expectations heading into this spring season?
To compete for everything that we possibly can. I think the players, like Gary said, are just so excited to compete again. And I think with the team that we have, we should be extremely competitive in every match, and our message will never change. Regardless of home, away, or whatever team we play, our expectation is to compete to win. And I think the boys understand that. They're enjoying their training schedule at the moment, and much like Gary, the demands that we put on the players to make sure that every training is intense and competitive mean that you're going to have some collateral damage in the way of contact injuries, which we've had over the last couple of weeks, but they're ready to go.
Awesome. And I know for you guys, it's so important to have such a great support staff around you. So talk a little bit about the importance of having Coach Alderson and Coach Rubio on your staff helping you guys out on a daily basis.
Yeah, I mean, these guys probably get bored of me talking about them so much, but they are just two of the most remarkable young men I've ever met in my life.
Yep.
Truly grateful and blessed to have them working with our program. I think you couldn't find two more hardworking, humble, amazing young assistant coaches in the country. And the things that they do for our program that I don't even have to think about anymore is just amazing. So I like my focus to be solely on the sport and the players and the team, and they do that. But they also help in other areas, other facets in the program that have just gone from strength to strength.
Yeah, I agree. You guys, I mean, they're awesome and they're great assets for our department. I think that's part of what makes our program so special is the people that we have leading them. And Coach, you're one of the best that I've seen at gaining every competitive advantage possible, and we see that on the week-to-week basis of what you guys do with your teams. Because I think a lot of people at home probably don't know this in our audience, but talk about some of the competitive advantages that you guys try to get over everybody else in terms of the mental, physical, nutrition, all that stuff. What are some of the things your program does to get a leg up?
I'm going to sound a bit psychotic when I give you this answer.
No, it's unbelievable. And, obviously, you've told me a little bit about it, and I've been learning more about it, but I think it'd be fascinating for our audience to hear some of the things that you guys do.
Well, as you know, sport is a complex thing, and I think team sports even more so, because you have so many different variables that you're trying to continuously control. And when it comes to the players making decisions on game day, that's up to them. It's 11 players trying to face 11 players on a very big pitch with a lot of space and only one soccer ball. So in the build-up to that, you have to try and control as many variables as you can, or at least that's my philosophy. So we try and monitor almost everything that we can in their lives to make sure that they are as best prepared to be the in-control decision makers when they're on the field. It's not our job to control them remotely when they're playing, but it is our role, I believe, to make sure they're as prepared as possible for when they get to that point. So we control as much as possible, from nutrition to sleep patterns to monitoring their training load, to their mental frameworks that they have, prior and during and after competition. And there's a great amount of detail that goes into it, so that keeps me busy.
There sure is, and I won't make you go into detail on all of it, but tell people a little bit about the training load, because I got to go down there and see some of the testing you guys were doing on some of your athletes in terms of getting their barometer and where they start out at, and then figuring out, when they're at their peak performance level. So tell people a little bit about that process, because I think it's fascinating, and more teams probably should take advantage of it.
Yeah, well, at its very basic, most fundamental level, you're just trying to keep your best team together for as long as possible. Mm-hmm. That's going to make you as competitive as possible. So we try and monitor as much as we can in terms of what they do and when they do it and how they do it, so that we're able to maximize their potential in terms of physical output, peaking for competition, and also sustain their physical energy levels through that season as well. So whenever a player gets injured, that's 1, 2, 3 games that they can't compete. So we try and cover distance, we try and cover speed, we try and cover impact, and we obviously use those GPS wearables that you're very interested in.
I love them.
And that feeds us back loads of data, which we then go to our sports scientist with, Dr. Keith Lighting, and he feeds that back to us, and we make decisions on our training schedule based upon those initial test results.
Yep.
How far a player can be pushed, what distance we needed to do so we can get closer to how much they're going to run on a game day. And then if a player does get injured, then we have like you said, a barometer, a platform as to where they need to get back to before it's safe for them to return to play so they don't re-injure.
Right. Yeah, fascinating stuff, Coach. So it's time for the Cars Plus sponsored question, Coach.
Yeah.
What is the longest road trip that you have ever taken, and where was it to?
I was thinking about this question.
Okay, I figured you got you cheated a little bit. You got it before you had to come
I don't
up
have
here.
a professional answer, but I do have one from when I was a collegiate student.
Okay.
I took a trip from Miami all the way up to New York.
Okay, nice.
Yeah.
That's a long trip.
3 of my friends, yeah.
Oh my gosh, what is that, 20 hours, 18
24
hours?
it was,
Oof.
ended up being. I don't think we drove very fast.
One way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The funniest thing about it is we drove up and we drove back, and 30 minutes before we were arriving back, we got pulled over by the cops for speeding.
Oh my gosh. 47 and a half hours.
Yeah. And we would have made it cut and dry. And
Oh
we got
my
a speeding
gosh.
ticket.
Were you driving?
No, I wasn't.
Okay, that's
so you
all
can
that
imagine
matters.
how angry I was at that person.
Yeah, that's true, no doubt. But at least you didn't have the ticket hanging
No,
over your
I know.
head,
He
so
had
that's
to
a good-
pay that, and $250 too. Yeah.
Man, after all that gas money, that's
know.
rough. That's rough. Well, let's hear it for Coach Jack Winter, our head men's soccer coach. Thanks for joining us, Coach. Awesome, and we're going to close things out here. Thanks, everybody, for coming and joining us in person. We'll be back next Thursday at the same time, same place. Shout out to Jay Brown Realtors for being our sponsor. And just want to remind you guys that our Bears Club auction will take place starting November 2nd, and that'll last till November 16th. You can find all those items on lrbears.com/auction. And then on November 21st, we're going to start basketball, and we want you to help us stuff the shoe by ordering a teddy bear to be put in the crowd. That'll go to a great cause and help support Make-A-Wish as well. You can get your bear today by going to lrbears.com/lendapaw. All right, everybody, we appreciate you guys, and we'll see you next week. Go Bears.